There is little secret that agricultural goods and energy markets are closely related. But could soybean oil actually be a leading indicator of crude oil? If one looks at this chart closely, a pattern emerges. First, back in late 2006 and early 2007, soybean oil prices began to rally, even as crude oil prices were falling. Crude oil later began following soybean oil higher. Now, soybean oil peaked in January 2008, whereas crude oil peaked 6 months later in July 2008. Soybean oil prices then went into free fall in late 2008, hitting bottom that December, moving slightly ahead of crude oil, which reached its low point 2 months later in February 2009. Soybean oil then led a recovery which peaked in 2011, several months ahead of crude oil's peak. From 2011 to 2014, soybean oil prices slid, almost in anticipation of the abrupt collapse of crude oil prices in late 2014 and early 2015. Soybean oil hit bottom in October 2015. Crude oil 4 months later in February 2016. Since then, many of the peaks and valleys in soybean oil prices have happened ahead of crude, including in 2022 when bean oil peaked out in early May last year and crude peaked out 2 months later at the end of June. Now, in the last couple of months, soybean oil prices have been soaring, even as crude has failed to rally. Does this portend a summertime rebound in crude oil? Well, time will tell.